So, discussing one japa technique. No hard and fast rules, but if it's helpful, then why not? Right? Like there is one purport in Bhagavatam. Prabhupada said there's no hard and fast rules, but still we try to sit straight, because if we don't, then our lungs will fill up with carbon dioxide and then we'll fall asleep, and breathe nicely, then sit nicely, sit properly. So one of the 4 remedies for inattentive japa meditation that was given by Nāma acharya Srila Haridas Thakur is, can you remember any of those 4 remedies? One of them is taking constant darshan of the deity while doing japa. Taking constant darshan of the... Why do you think that may be good? Smarāmi Nanda-nandanam. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Could you say that sloka? That's smarāmi Nanda-nandanam. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Radha-Krṣnayor Shri Vāsudeva So this is the mantra to say before chanting to remember Krishna.
Tribhanga bhangimam rupam venu-randhra karārcitam Gopi-mandala madhyastham smarāmi Nanda-nandanam.
It will help you to remember that Tribhanga form of Krishna in Vrindavan, which is the form of the Maha-mantra. The Mahamantra is sound, but it has form, and that form is Radha and Krishna standing under the tree of Vamshivata on the full moon night of Sharad Purnima. Krishna is playing his flute and dancing, right? So Haridas says that we should chant daily. He says one should chant daily japa before one's beloved deity. But when we can't do that, then we must remember that deity with whom we have a relationship while chanting japa. So we discuss that. You can see this is something, you could say something to do with multitasking. Correct? It says you're chanting japa, but you're doing something else, which is taking constant darshan of the deity. Right? So, like driving, when you first try to drive a car, it's quite frightening, isn't it? When we don't know what to do, what to press, and you may damage the car, or you may hurt somebody on the street, correct? Can you imagine trying to use your phone during your first driving lesson? What would happen? What will happen? Probably a driving instructor will slap you, isn't it? But then, after you are expert in driving, And if you're driving on the road that you drive every day, you can do it. It's not legal, but the fact is you can do it. How come? When you become expert in something, when you're warmed up, then you can do one thing and then do a second thing at the same time. So in the beginning, our chanting, the first 1 or 2 rounds are always difficult until the mantra gets into it. Just like singing. When you first sing the first 1 or 2 verses, it's difficult. But if other people sing with you, if somebody starts to play the kartals, and then if somebody adds in the mridanga, then the rhythm gives a life to the kirtan, and then the kirtan carries you along. Correct? So same thing we can try to do with the japa, in the sense that, after we are chanting for some time, then we find, yes, I'm chanting nicely, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. I'm saying all 32 syllables and saying it with a rhythm. Then at that time, sometimes we may do something else. We may start exercising, or we may start picking up a book, looking here and looking there, and we're still saying the mantra. So that is very good, but that kind of chanting will give you maybe moksha, maybe great material opulence, but it is not good for getting prema. So how to cure that inattention, which Haridas says is the mother of all offenses? If you find that now I've already got to the stage where I'm saying the mantra nicely, for me, my experience, it takes 1 round or 2 rounds usually. Sometimes it can take even as long as 4 rounds to really, because what happens then, the mantra comes with your breathing, your blood circulation, everything, especially in the morning when you're from sleeping mode, mind is, dreaming to try and get into this waking up mode. So, you see, how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to chant his japa? He didn't use beads. Did you know that? Then how would he do it? Karamala. Kara means hand. So he'll be counting on his hands. And you need to use 2 hands when you do that. So that is much more absorbing, isn't it? If I ask you to chant without the japamala, I think you'll have to use 2 hands. So more senses absorb in one object, not in many objects. In many objects, then it's distraction. Correct? Like if you're trying to look at the form of Krishna, is that considered a distraction while chanting? No. Why? Because that form of Krishna is the form of the Mahamantra. And so that's why it said this chanting is very good, because you can do 3 things at the same time. Shravana, which is the first step, Kirtana, and Smarana. Right? Even if the Kirtana and the Smarana don't come, just the Shravana, just hearing is very good. Right? But if you can do all, then why not? It's better. Krishna will be more pleased. Because if you chant Krishna's name, but you are not trying to remember Krishna, how will Krishna feel? Because he will come here immediately when you chant his name, but then you are ignoring him. But if he comes and you try to invite him into your mind, then you just have to keep looking at his body. As the Bhagavatam says, you should meditate on the individual parts of the body of Krishna without losing a conception of the whole form of his body. Right? So, you see, can you do this with your left hand? Yes. You just touch this first one and you say feet. Can you see, how Krishna's foot is crossed? You see deity of Sri Radha-Madhava, Bhaktivinoda Thakur's deity. Can you remember them? Because you can recognize them, but this one is Gopalji, this one is Radha-Madhava, this one is Radha Shyam Sundar. Each and every deity whom you can recognize them, right? So think of Radha Madhava because they came here to live here. So you see feet, see his right foot is crossed over like that, right? Then second one, put your finger here, say knees, knees, feet, say feet, then knees, then his waist. His belly button can be seen with one white tilak there, correct? Radha Madhava, the photo on the altar. And then after waist, then his hands. Remember, he's got very big red hands. Correct? His hand is like that, open hands. And then close it and see his face. His face is the culmination, right? We are not supposed to look at his face directly. We should always see his feet first. Then you breathe in. And then again, feet. Say it. Feet. Knee. Waist. Hands. Then close your tongue. What is it? Face. Try again. So touch your index finger. Feet. Touch your middle finger. Knees. Touch your ring finger. What do you say? Waist. You see his belly button. Then hands. He's holding the flute. His hands are red in color, right? Then close your fingers. How? Face. Try to say this a few times. Face. Yes, feet. No. Waist. Then his raise your eyes from his waist. What do you see? You see his hands holding the flute. Alright? Hands. Then close your thumb. Then you see his beautiful face. Then you breathe in. And you go down to his feet again. Close your eyes now. Visualize. Actually visualize and say feet. Next. Yes. 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 So now, could you visualize this form as you said these 4 parts of his body? Try again. Say feet. Okay. Yeah. So this is a simple, you're practicing remembering the parts of his body, right? You know, they use this hand technique when they're learning mridanga, when they're learning singing. It's multitasking, but so that you focus on the same thing. It's not multitasking, looking at something else. That is called distraction. You know, so the cure for distraction is not I must withdraw my mind. I must engage my mind and my senses even more. That is the difference. Bhakti yoga means use your senses, use your mind. The more you use your senses, the more you use your mind, that is better. But it should be on Krishna, not on some other topic, some other distraction. Do you follow? So then the more and more you get absorbed in it, the more you, and yes, no doubt it's mechanical, but it's, Haridas says it's a remedy for inattention, taking constant darshan of the deity. So if you look here now, look at your fingertip, just think, what is this fingertip? Which part of his body? No, feet. Okay, then? Yes. 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 Then his face. Okay. So now, if you just say, look at these 4, say one mantra for each of them, and think of each part of his body as you say it, and say the mantra as nicely as you can. Right? more enthusiasm. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Okay, so that's it. You got it. It's a very simple technique, but the first step is to just say the mantra very nicely. And once the mantra is going nicely, then the second step, if you find that my mind is starting to wander here and there, right? So say, okay, now let me just engage my other hand. As I told you, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to use both his hands while he was chanting, And we're supposed to be chanting in front of our deity and trying to take constant darshan of the deity. But he says when you're not in front of your deity, if you can't be, then you have to remember that deity. That particular deity, not impersonalist, it's a personal, some particular deity that you have a relationship with, whom you want to serve. So you try doing that and try to just keep your attention. You'll find that by this type of multitasking, you're doing two things, but you'll be in a very simple way, you'll be bringing the form of Krishna into your mind. But mantra first, and simply hearing the mantra. That is, what Rohini Nandan Prabhu used to say, back to basics. Because if you get confused, what am I doing? Okay, just say the mantra and hear it finish. That's the starting point. Shravana. Then am I saying it nicely? Kirtana. Then when Shravana and Kirtana both are going nicely, at that time again your mind will start to wander. Then you think, oh, okay, I'm doing the Shravana and the Kirtana, now let me try to remember the song just by connecting this. And then your breathing will get connected with it as well. So try a few rounds like this. Chant loudly, classically. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Radha-Krṣna Shri Vasudeva Hare Krishna 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 Hare Okay, thanks very much. I hope this will be helpful and useful to people. I found it's very. I remember our friend Radha Mataji in Vrindavan. She told me, yes, I always do that. Sometimes she will chant one mantra for each personality on the altar, One mantra, say, for Prabhupada, one mantra for his Guru, and go all the way up the parampara, up to Radha and Krishna. Once Prabhupada said, whenever you chant, when you say Hare, tell your mind, here is Radha. Whenever you say Krishna, tell your mind, here is Krishna. Very simple thing, But engaging this left hand helps so much because our hands and our eyes distract us. So if you can connect your hands and your eyes, that's engagement rather than when you leave them unengaged, either you fall asleep or they are prone to being distracted by anything that you see around you will remind you of something else. So try doing it. Thank you. Hare Krishna. I'm going to stop this.